Good morning, everybody. This is Laurren Darr. I'm with Left Paw Press, an International Association of Pet Fashion Professionals. And the Left Paw Press part is what we're going to talk about today. I've had a lot of folks ask me over the past year, like, what are you doing? You're not coming to live events, and what's going on? Well, we had an extremely, very, very busy year in the past year. And so I wanted to just give people a glimpse of what all that we had going on, because in addition to publishing, a lot of you know that we have a very, sometimes crazy busy household. Number one, for those that don't know, my son goes to school online, and I'm basically his at-home learning coach. That takes up a significant portion of time, and now that he's in high school, there's even more of a workload. In addition to that, my husband, who's a geneticist and who we've published books for on Left Paw Press, he travels to go speak on this specific syndrome called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and he goes around the world, and so we're constantly making travel arrangements and those kinds of things for that. But probably the thing that takes up the biggest portion of time, even though technically even in the off season, it's like there really is no off season that we found. My son races right now he races a mini cup stock car. And what that is it essentially, just think of a NASCAR car and squish it down to half size. That's basically what he races right now. He's been doing that for the past 3 years. He's going to go into his fourth and final season with the mini cups. So I'm forewarning everybody, 2017 is going to be even a busier and even a crazier year for us, because he's also starting to transition, and he's going to transition into and training with a driver development program in a late model, which is a few steps before you get into NASCAR. So that's his dream, is to get into NASCAR, and we want to do everything that we can to support that dream. And what it's meant is that my husband and I have basically, with the mini cup car, two people that never even changed oil in a car before have had to figure out how to be basically a pit crew and a marketing team for a race car driver. And so, why am I laughing? Because it has not been the easiest task in the world. Like, we are not two people that you would ever expect to, work on a car. We're like nerdy people. I mean, Brad, let's face it, he's a geneticist. So molecular genetics, I think, is from Purdue, is what his undergraduate degree is in. And he's got an MD and a PhD on top of that. So, he was used to like being in a lab or a hospital, and then you've got me. I'm like, I worked in an office in a marketing department. What do you mean? I got to learn what a clutch is and all this stuff. So, one of these days, we're getting to the point where it's kind of comical. Living in the moment of it was not comical, but we're getting to the point that maybe someday it'll be a funny book somehow. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But right now, while we're still living the dream, we'll just bite our tongues and keep going. So anyway, this past year, 2016, I've got all these stacks of books in front of me, and I'm looking at how I've got them organized, and I'm going to move something out of the way here. My laptop's right there. I hope it doesn't fall. We introduced a lot of books in 2016. Some of them were coloring books, and that kind of started with I just woke up one morning and I thought, I love pugs. I love coloring. I love the idea of mandalas because they remind me of like some of these really close-up geometric pictures in nature and things like that. And so I had this idea in the very end of 2015. We introduced the Pug Doll coloring book. And lo and behold, I think we introduced it in November, and it just shot off and it like took off right away. So we started getting requests from people saying, hey, did you ever thinking about doing a mandala book in, cats or other dogs or other creatures or other ideas? And so that is kind of what snowballed and started it all. The other thing that makes them a little bit different, and I think why people really like them, and I'll open up a page here, is not only do we have the mandala in them, we have these affirmation pages. So you know how you color something and then on the other side there's like another coloring page and it can kind of bleed through and stuff like that. Well, I didn't want to do that, and I also have, I really like this idea of the mantras and the meditations and affirmations, and so I included those in the Pug Doll book. So I think that's why it was so well received, and by far it's still the best-selling coloring book that we have. And by the way, all of these are available on Amazon if you are so inclined to go check them out. But so starting in 2016, the next book that we introduced, of course, for the cat people, was the Cat Doll coloring book. And so this started this Doll coloring book series, and now we have, let me count them here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 9 Doll coloring books right now at this very moment, but we actually have a couple others that are ready to be introduced here soon. So the Cat Doll coloring book was the next one that we did. And it has the mandalas and everything the same way and the affirmations, but it focuses, of course, on cats. So then, I'm going to put that down on the floor. The next book that we did was, because we had so many dog lovers that may not necessarily be as plum pug crazy as I am, asked about different dog breeds. And what is in the AKC, there's over 170, probably close to 200 dog breeds right now. Somebody can tell me in the comments just how many breeds there are. But we decided to do the Dog Doll coloring book. And in this book, we have all different dog breeds. There's over 50 different dog breeds. We took the most popular dog breeds worldwide, not just in the United States, but did a couple searches and did different dog breeds in the Dog Doll coloring book. And same format, same idea with the affirmations and mantras. And you'll see that that's the same all the way throughout this series because, they're all based kind of on the same thing. Well, we have a tremendous number of chicken lovers in the world. And, there's actually more chickens in the world than there are people. Just a fun fact for you. And next we came out with the Chicken Doll coloring book. And to be quite honest, I was doing these so quick and so fast that I really was like, how are these being received? We're getting great feedback and things like that, but are they serving the purpose that I want them to serve? And I have to say the Chicken Doll coloring book is the one that really sealed the deal for me, because I got a note from someone who was going through a cancer treatment, and she said, this really helps me when I'm doing my treatments. I sit down, I color, and it calms me, and it helps me to get through that process that is inevitable. And so that really sealed it for me to say, we need to keep doing these, and we need to continue on. And so the next, I think it was the next, I'm not sure if I have these in order. Actually, it was this one. We went on and did a farm dollar coloring book. And don't you love how we're changing the covers of all of these on a regular basis? I like that we're changing the covers, and you know, frankly, when you like put them all together, it kind of looks like the colors of a rainbow. I think it's really cool, but that's me. We did the farm dollar coloring book. And of course, this has like all the different farm animals. You have sheep and cow and the different farm implements. And there's one in here that is my absolute favorite. I probably won't be able to find it real quick. But it is of a scene of, you know, like the land, and you have the farm up there on top. And it just is this really serene, I found it! Serene scene. This is... you know, I'm not supposed to play favorites, but, you know, frankly, I do. This one is my favorite because of that scene of that farm. And, you know, it reminds me of, like, Indiana, where you get in those areas where there's, like, no disturbance of the land. And then, you know, you get the farms, and it's just all nature. Okay. On from there, we knew that owls were really popular, and we got feedback from folks. You know, I would get emails and notes on Facebook and on other social media all the time saying, hey, did you ever think about doing blah, blah, blah? And so owls were the next one in the Owl Dollars coloring book. So that was the next one that we introduced. And by the way, I'm doing a series where I'm literally coloring every single page of all of the coloring books. We're doing that in time-lapse video, and we're posting it to the Left Paw Press YouTube, so that, you know, every week for each one of these books, we'll have a time-lapse of the coloring that I do, which is completely imperfect. It's not, totally not perfect by any means. And I know we have a lot of horse lovers out there. So we introduced the horse dollar coloring book. Same format with the mantras and the affirmations, but every mandala is themed around horses. And then this one, I know we have a lot of folks out there that have fish. And I love this one because, especially in feng shui, you know, that the koi fish is, you know, part of the inclusion of a lot of feng shui areas that would have, you know, probably in your career area where it's related to water, it would have the koi pond and things like that. So when I see a koi fish, I think of, or, you know, a big goldfish, I think of feng shui, and that's why I really like the cover of this one. And it's got that, you know, serene color that you see in a lot of the areas around the coral reefs and things like that. And again, it's along the same lines. You've got the fish mandalas, the mantras, the affirmations, and those kinds of things. Those are the mandala books that were published and that were introduced in the year 2016. So we do have a mandala coloring book that's technically out there, and this is your sneak peek. You can technically go buy it on Amazon, but we have not done our formal introductions of it with our press release and posts on the website and those kinds of things yet. But that's coming here at the beginning of this year. It's part of our plans. And that is Hamster Dollar Coloring Book. I know we've got a lot of hamster lovers out there, and we've had a lot of requests for that. So this one, you can get it right now, and be on the lookout because soon you will be seeing that we're introducing the Hamster Dollar Coloring Book, but you get an exclusive first look peek right here and right now. Let me grab a drink. Okay. Now, because I'm a pet fashion person, we also, another sneak peek for you, FYI, we have another coloring book that we've done, but it's not one of the Dala series. And it's the Pet Fashion Coloring and Activity Book. It is also technically out there. You can purchase this. It's on Amazon. It is available right now. And again, similar to the Hamster Dala coloring book, we've not formally introduced it, done our press releases and those kinds of things on it. So you will be seeing that forthcoming soon here in 2017. But it's the Pet Fashion Coloring and Activity Book. Went a little different with this. The style of the illustrations are different. They are fashion illustration style, so they're not the mandalas. And they also include activities on the pages where they would be like the back of the coloring page. You know, you've got connect the dots. I can figure this out here. You'd think I'd figure this out by now. So it has a lot of activities like that. It has the coloring pages, but it's all pet fashion themed. So you've got dressed up dogs, cats, horses, pigs, all kinds of fashionable animals that are drawn in that fashion illustration style. And they're in the black and white, ready to color, and it also has the activities, which is, those are also good for your brain and getting it going in the mornings. I tend to color like in the mornings when I'm coloring. It also helps with your thought processes, doing some of those activities. So that was part of the reason to do the Pet Fashion Coloring and Activity Book. But also, I didn't see really anything in the marketplace for pet fashion. And for designers, I felt like, if you're really practicing your craft with the illustrations and things like that, this might be a good way to at least practice that colorization. So you can do it totally for fun, but there can be a professional reason and way to use that Pet Fashion Coloring and Activity Book. Now, speaking of pet fashion, for the past 4 years, we've been doing the Pet Business Planning Almanac. And so this year, we also did the Pet Business Planning Almanac. And that includes the astrology with Ellen Zucker. And it has everything that it's had in it before. It has like the pet holidays. We expanded the unconventional holidays, but we also included this time traditional holidays. So you have everything in one handy dandy place. There's the trade shows and conferences that are in here, fashion weeks, media in the pet industry, organizations in the pet industry. This time we really included a lot more marketing articles, because this is really meant to be used and dog-eared and sit on your desk and, go through it every day if you want to. You're looking up a pet holiday every day for something to post for your blog or your social media and things like that. So we really expanded it this past year. And this was, I have to say, I feel like this one was our biggest and best pet business planning almanac yet. So, what else did we do in 2016, as if that's not enough? Let me take a step back. In the previous year, in 2015, Florina Boldy, whom I adore and I love because she's so talented, she illustrated Lipstick on a Pug for me, and she re-illustrated a lot of the Pug fairy tale series books. And I totally love them. I love that we reintroduced them with her style, because not only was it a fashion illustration style, but it really reminded me of this fairy tale book that I had, and actually I still have it. Really big, thick fairy tale book that I had as a kid, and I would read as a kid. And her style really reminded me of those childhood illustrations that I would see in that book. And she's just amazingly talented. I can't say enough good things about her. So what we did in 2016, what she did, it was both in coloring book format and in the regular book, children's book format. What we did in 2016 is took all of those books in the Pug Fairy Tale series and introduced them in Spanish. So Pug in Boots was introduced, and it was introduced in Spanish, same artwork, and El Pug con Botas. And so we have the children's book, and then we also have the coloring book that we introduced in 2016. The next one in the Pug Fairy Tale series, and I think we uploaded and introduced all of these at the same time, by the way. Pug Benji and the Beanstalk was translated to El Pug Benji y las Habichuelas Mágicas. And so we have the children's book format, and then we also have the coloring book format for that book. The next one in the Pug Fairy Tale series is Rimas de Mama Pug, so Mother Pug Rhymes. We introduced that in the regular format of the children's book, and then we also had the coloring book that was introduced. In addition to that, we did Little Red Riding Pug, and it's La Pug con la Caperucita Roja. And that one is in, I'm going the wrong way here. That one is in the children's book format and also coloring book format. All of these, by the way, are on Amazon and should be on other online book publishers. The Three Little Pugs, that was introduced also. And it's Los Tres Perritos Pug. And then we also have the coloring book. Oh, and by the way, one of the other things that we're doing this year in video is I'm reading the children's books, and you'll see the artwork in the video. I'm reading the children's books, and we're posting that on the Left Paw Press YouTube channel. So basically, you can get a feel for the entire book and have it read to you and see the artwork. And it's on the Left Paw Press YouTube channel. We're kind of slowly scheduling those and dripping those out throughout 2017. So not part of the Pug Fairy Tale series, but one that Florina did do the artwork on, and that is Lipstick on a Pug. And we translated that to Spanish, and it is Pinta Labios en un Pug, so the children's book. And then we also did that in the coloring book format. Now, 2016 was a huge year. Anybody that knows me, has been following me for, at least the past couple years, knows that this is my story of first of all, why am I so plum pug crazy? It's the story about how I ended up getting my very first rescue pug, White Pines Tootie, when I was around 5-6 years old, somewhere around there. I don't completely remember how old I was. And how I also became a little bit obsessed with the pet fashion obsession, and how Tootie is basically the catalyst for why I started International Association of Pet Fashion Professionals. So why I'm really extremely excited about what happened in 2016 was that in February we found out that Lipstick on a Pug won the Maxwell Medallion for Children's Book of the Year from the Dog Writers Association of America. And that really meant a whole lot to me, simply because it was that story that I totally wrote like for myself. I had to get it out there and get it out into the world because I had so many people ask me, like, why are you into pet fashion and why are you so crazy about pugs? And and so it took me a while to finally get that book down on paper. I spent years, really just kind of putting that story together in a way that I wanted it out in the world. And I found Florina to do the artwork finally after several years of searching for just the right person. And I was so thrilled with the way that book came together. So I was really proud of that. Speaking of the Maxwell Medallion and the Dog Writers Association, we have 2 of our Left Paw Press books are right now up for and nominated for the Maxwell Medallions from the Dog Writers Association. So that's really very exciting. We'll find out in February how they did, but just making it down to that, just the final 3 or 4 in any category in the Dog Writers Association, it's phenomenal because I can't tell you how many years I entered stuff. And like never made it to the finals. And so when Lipstick on a Pug made it to the finals, I was like, I have already won. I have arrived. And when they called the title Lipstick on a Pug at the banquet, I was totally flabbergasted. I didn't know what to do. I just ran up so fast like a crazy frantic woman to get the medallion that I didn't know what to do. So anyway, the Pet Business Planning Almanac for 2016 is up for nomination in the reference category. And then we have the Pug Doll Coloring Book is also up for nomination, and that's in the illustration category. So I will be extremely thrilled if one of them wins the medallion. But at this point, like I said, I'm so completely happy that they actually made the final nominations. That is to me, one of the tougher writing competitions to get through because the people are so talented that write for that. Not only are they looking for things that are grammatically correct, they're looking for a good story. They like for you to combine that human bond connection between animals and humans, and there's a lot that goes into the Dog Writers Association competition that some of the writing competitions don't necessarily go into, if that makes sense. So that one to me meant a lot more than probably some others would have. So that's that. I actually have my medallion hanging right up here. I see it every day when I walk into my office. I purposefully have it hanging right there, especially on those days when I think, what am I thinking? I can't write. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's my reminder of, yes, you can. Get your butt to work. So anyway, that is the wrap up of 2016. That's the Left Paw Press books that we introduced. We introduced 20, technically published 22 books in 2016. 2017, it's going to be a phenomenal year. We're going to focus on a lot of the pet fashion things. And a lot of those are really going to be for folks that want to learn about design and the business of pet fashion and the industry itself. Many of these books, it's interesting, have been worked on for anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And they're finally starting to come to fruition. And so I'm really excited about that, and that we're going to be able to introduce a lot of those. We're still going to do the coloring books, probably do a couple pug books. We have some racing books. As many of you know, Zachary introduced a book, Zachary Tinkle's Mini Cup Decision. That was 2015. He's got another book. It's pretty much ready to go. We're looking for some reviews on that so we can introduce it. And we also have a book that my husband actually has been working on his great-grandfather, Zachary's great-great-grandfather, Harry McQuinn, who raced Indy cars, midget cars. He's in the Midget Hall of Fame. He's got an interesting background, and we're hoping to publish that this year too. So anyway, I won't get into all of the 2017 details. What we'll do is separate broadcast on what's coming up in 2017, at least as much as I can reveal at this time. So, thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Let's wrap up 2016. Let's move forward. It's time to get going on